Well, we just went through a pretty harrowing experience. Yesterday, the mayor told us that they were going to dredge that area, not dredge it, but they're surveying that area of the harbor that we needed to move. And so our options were to move from there and go back out to the open ocean and sit out there for 5 or 6 hours. Well, it's pretty freaking windy out there. So we'd be bouncing around. It would not have been fun. Or the other option was to come on this side of the jetty. See, there's the jetty right there. Now this side hasn't been dredged, but we draft 4.5 feet, and the mayor says we'll be fine. It's more than that. Not a lot more than that, but more than that. So we decided to move over here, and what I did is I found a big rock. I ran a cable around the rock and then 2 lines, and I floated a buoy about 25 feet from it so we could pick up the lines from the buoy. That way Cindy could stay on board. So we moved on over here, set the anchor. I had Cindy run to the back, grab that buoy, and hook up those lines. Well, it wasn't that easy. So we hooked it up, and the next thing I know, my 4.5 foot draft, and I got a thing that says 4 feet. We're on the bottom. And the worriest thing about being on the bottom is not so much the hull. It's pretty soft here. There are a few rocks, but it's pretty soft. If we get too shallow, then my props can hit. I think that happened because my starboard engine turned off. And I didn't realize it turned off. And so I'm struggling to get us tight, get us lined up. Never did get us lined up. Got us tight. Like I said, I ran a cable to a big rock, and the rock was on the jetty. I don't see a rock over there. We pulled the rock into the harbor. Now this is a big rock. It's got to be at least 1,000 pounds. So that was pretty big force on that. Now I got 2 lines connected to a rock that's underwater, connected to a bicycle lock. I don't know how I'm going to get that off. So once we get off of here, I may just have to say goodbye to that thing, or go diving, I guess. And, well, you can't see anything. That water's pretty nasty. So this turned out to be a total shit show. Sometimes living on a boat in a remote area has a little bit of challenge. Today, I need to fill up my water tanks. We can't do it in that bay. If you saw, the bay water is really pretty disgusting. So what I have to do is I have to get on my scooter, ride up the hill until I get to the local water source and fill up. Then I have to put it on my scooter, 70 pounds of water at a time, ride it back to the boat, get in the tender, get on the boat, lift it to the front, go to fill the tanks, and repeat. Gotta love sailing. Well, there's one load of water. That's about 275 pounds. That represents about 8% of what we carry on Remission. And we're down 65%. So if my math is right, I gotta make about 8 of these trips. And each trip takes me about 1.5 hours. I'm at a loss of words now. Who wants some coffee? Gotta love it. Look at this coffee bar. I don't know. What do you think? Well, another challenge of sailing in remote islands is getting fuel. We used about 60 gallons to get here. In a couple of days, we're going into 900 miles. So we just want to make sure we top off. So what do I have to do? I have to carry my jerry cans to the gas station. There it is. Luckily, it's only a couple 100 meters from the dock, so I don't have that far to go, but still not easy. It's a challenge. I do like that it's full service gas stations here now. Alright, well total, I got 5 jerry cans, 25 gallons. And we've hit a new high. 25 gallons came to $320. That's almost $13 a gallon here. Whew. I was gonna get 50 gallons. I think I'll just get 25 and wait until I get to Samoa. Hopefully it'll be cheaper there. It's a bigger island. Less transportation costs, I will assume. But, whew, $13 a gallon. Man. Here comes my ride. These guys are anchored outside the lagoon, and there are a lot of bommies, and they got wrapped. And I met them the other day, and I told them I was a scuba instructor with all my gear, and said if they needed help, I'd be more than happy. Sometimes I open up my mouth, you know how that goes. What I'm happy to do, I'm going to lend them a tank, and I'm going to lend them my expertise.
As you can see, this is not an optimal place to anchor. It's 65 feet deep here, and the chain is wrapped around everything. So first Bart assessed what to do. The actual anchor is in a good spot, but he will have to move it to create slack in order to free the chain from the multiple bommies. James is going to lift the anchor, and Bart will attempt to move the chain. This is not going to be easy, as the chain is not only wrapped, but it is also underneath the ledges. Wow, it's in there tight. These floats are pretty much worthless. I don't think it's going to be possible to free the chain. We'll have to do this again when they are ready to depart.
Alright, well, that was an experience. This whole video is about challenges on boats. So I went out to Relentless, and 2 of us went to dive his anchor chain. Well, it was wrapped. I mean, I've had some wrapped anchors before, but this one was the worst. You had probably 4 wraps on it. And we tried moving the chain and doing little sections and stuff for moving the anchor. And we were able to unwrap about 3 of them. So that was good. But the problem is we're in about 65 feet, and James, while a good diver, was still kind of inexperienced and working underwater, and he ended up running out of air. And he didn't tell me he was running out of air. In fact, it was mainly, you know, he was going like that, and I didn't know what that means. I mean, this is out of air, or low on air anyways. And so I was thinking he was having trouble with his weights, that he was floating up when he wanted to go up. So he ended up going up, and he was going up fast. And again, I don't realize that he was running out of air, and he, you know, I didn't signal that he wanted to share air, because, you know, I had over 1,200 pounds left. And we ended up going up to the surface really fast. From 65 feet, not a good idea. When we got up there, that's when he told me, and I looked, and he had like about 100 pounds of air left. So at that point, I still had plenty of air left, so I told him to go back to the boat, and I went back down to see if I could free the last part of it because it was like a canyon of rocks down there. Big, not bommies. I mean, these were just coral ledges. And I wasn't able to get the last one done. I worked on it but couldn't. And then so then I decided to start coming up. And I'm coming up and I'm about 35 feet or so. And I see this shadow out of the corner. I look down and there's a shark, which usually is not a big deal. I kind of like that. This was a tiger shark. And he was about a 12-footer or so, which is, you know, kind of cool to see, but so he just kind of went by. I'm watching him, and visibility out there is terrible. You know, we've had so much, you know, movement of air and causing the waves and a lot of current. Well, this damn thing turned around and came back to me. Kind of just circled around me. He was just curious. He's still a frickin' tiger shark. And I'm by myself. So I watched him, and then he disappeared, you know, into the mist. And at that point, I got to do a 3-minute safety stop. Visibility is only about 15 feet, so I was on a swivel. And finally, my 3 minutes was up. I went to the surface, and James was still there. He was on the anchor line, just waiting for me. We went back up on board and discussed what happened, and now we got some better rules because on Friday the wind changed. You can tell wind is pretty bad right here, but on Fridays the winds change, get a lot less, and we're gonna leave and they're gonna leave, but there's no way they could leave right now. So we've got to go back down and do, you know, this time I'm going to take a float with me on a reel and tell them basically just follow the float. You know, so power the boat up. You know, as the float moves, you move up, you move to the side, whichever way. That way it takes the tension off that anchor line, and I'll be able to free them, not a problem. So we'll do that on Friday morning. They're going to come pick me up again, take me out there and do it, and then they'll bring me back, and then we'll all prepare to leave. You know, they're headed to Niue, and we're going to Samoa. So, and then what was kind of nice is they came by and brought me a really nice bottle of Caribbean dark rum. So I'm looking forward to trying that. But again, the challenges of living on a boat. You know, you never know where they're coming from. I think this one, while not easy, is fixable. So, on to the next one. Got a bunch of locals out on the sandbank out in the lagoon there fishing. Now, what they get here is bonefish, which I guess is a very tasty fish, a little hard to fillet. But they're out here out on the pier all the time. This is the first time we've actually seen them out in the lagoon. We got the supply ship. It's outside the harbor. Just came in, and now the barge is going out to get them. Looks like we may have some new groceries in the store.
And I was just getting used to canned meat and food.
Yeah. Alright, so there's the supply ship out there. Just outside the lagoon. Yeah, I think Dale's a little nervous with that barge coming in. It's my buddy Dale from Hudson. When Cindy was back in Colorado, they invited me over for a beer, which turned into, I think, 3 or 4. Kind of cool that met him in Tahiti and seeing him again here in the Cook Islands. And actually, that boat too. And that my Motu, that boat also, we know them from Fakarava. Well, here's a Another big challenge of sailing to remote places. Look at this weather. You see them trees? We've been here 2 weeks. We're not getting out anytime soon. We'd only planned on spending a week at Atutaki. I mean, it's a beautiful island. We love the people. We have seen everything we need to see. But this storm is going to be coming through for a few days, and so we're hunkered down. I mean, I'm really not complaining. I'm in paradise, but it's still a challenge when you come to these remote spots. You see everything. You want to get off and see some more. Well, I think it's a kind of a card-playing day. Maybe we'll have some friends over and have them play some games with us. That'll work. Yeah.
So last night we had 40-knot winds. The boat next to us, this boat right there, their anchor hopped over this 10-foot levee, and is dug in. And now Bart is going down to try to recover it. He also trying to figure out where the anchor is. It's bedded in.
Well, we've had quite the morning. This whole video is about challenges. We've already had challenges about anchoring here. Well, we've got a new one. We had over 40 knots of wind last night, and Cindy wakes me up about 4 a.m. and says, "You better come up here." And we dragged big time. In fact, if you guys remember from earlier part of the video, looking right here, there was a big rock right behind me. That big rock is now way over there. We were right behind that rock before. And in fact, our neighbor, he's now right behind that rock when he was 20 yards or 20 feet further over. So we can see we dragged. In fact, look at this anchor here. That anchor, we pulled it off the other side onto the top of the bank. And our neighbor, he did the same thing. In fact, his anchor, he actually pulled it all the way across the jetty and into the water. A little while ago I helped him. We went over and pulled it out of the water because it was doing nothing. So it's been quite an experience this morning. We've been able to move back about 10 feet or so, but our forward anchor has definitely dragged. It dragged at least 30 feet, if not 40. And now we've had to, in order to keep it off the anchor chain off the hull, I've had to pull in some anchor, and it's not set. We don't have nearly enough chain out. But luckily the winds have died down to about 17 right now. It's just, boy, scary things. You know, the biggest problem is when we were dragging, we came very close to running up on that. And we would have been stuck on the rocks. I don't know what we would have done. And you can see we're still, this guy used to be at about an 80-degree angle that way. Now it's probably 30 degrees going this way. So it's been quite a challenge this morning. You know, it's now what, 8 o'clock, so I've been at this for 4 hours. Cindy's been up 5 hours, you know, worrying about it. So I don't know. Hopefully we can get out of here tomorrow. Nobody saw the 40+ mile-an-hour winds. It was only supposed to be overnight in the teens and all day today in the teens. But it's coming from a bad direction, putting us on a lee shore. Hopefully we're set for right now. I love this island, but it's had its challenges.
Thank you for joining us here at Sailing Remission. From this video, you can definitely see that sailing to and living in remote areas of the world has its challenges. But when you face these challenges, it only makes the rest of the journey all that much better. So we are moving on from Akataki and heading to Western Samoa. Or are we? Join us next week as our challenges continue, but this time while sailing.
What is an asset? It's a little donkey. What's an ascot? It's a little donkey's bed.